thought I'd come and sit in my car because I haven't done for a long time and I can't quite remember what it was like. You know, we used to sit in the cars, didn't we? And race off and go places. What fun it was in the good old days. And sometimes we'd sit car behind car, wouldn't we? In lines that stretched for miles, in traffic. We'd just follow the car in front. Sometimes on the motorway, I confess, I was a bit on autopilot as I followed everyone else. And in the country lanes, we can just follow behind a tractor sometimes and just be there going, oh, I wish I could get past, or, well, you know, where's it going? Wonder what they're doing for work today. Police and people sometimes talk about following someone directly to the scene of an accident. So when there's an accident in front of us, if we're not concentrating, we're on autopilot, then we just follow the car straight off the road to where the other car is. I guess that's why in the old days they had a man with a red flag, just to keep you awake. So we're talking about following today because it's Palm Sunday and the crowds followed Jesus, didn't they? They walked into Jerusalem with him. And follow is such a good word to talk about in relation to Jesus. Jesus' followers, his disciples. Because follow can be read at so many different levels. There's the level of following as in copying someone, what they're doing. You know, that's how children learn, isn't it? They copy us. Sometimes we wish where they wouldn't, but they do. And it's been seen in other mammals, chimpanzees, lion prides, that they copy one another's behaviour. So there's that kind of active following. Following can also mean, you know, following somebody's general political ideals, can't it? What someone stands for. So we follow a political party, or we follow a band or somebody, and that we agree with what they stand for. We agree with what they're saying, generally. And then thirdly, following can be like following a dream. Pursuing something, dragging something from the future and making it happen, from our visions into the reality. And all those three things are really good to talk about Jesus, because we are meant to copy Jesus, and his disciples did copy Jesus. So he went out and healed people, and so they went out and healed people. Jesus clearly included the women and the lepers and those who the rest of society had kicked out, and so his followers included those people as well. You don't have to understand a lot in order to copy someone and what they do. Okay, so Jesus looks after the poor and the weak, and he prays with people, and he does these things. Okay, we should do that too. Secondly, of course, following the ideals of someone. Well, we follow Jesus's ideals. The thing that Jesus was saying that was so different, that we didn't need the temple and the sacrifice system, that we could have direct access to God, that this whole new relationship and the whole topsy-turvy idea of the kingdom, where actually it isn't the rich that are blessed, it's the poor that are blessed. Golly, I still don't understand all that, but I follow generally the ideals. And thirdly, of course, to pursue Jesus, to follow that dream. Jesus told that lovely story about the merchant who sold everything he had, even his fine car, in order to get the pearl of great price, or laying down one's life in order to find it. So being a follower of Jesus is all those three things. And of course, the other thing is we always know when we're not following somebody or something as well, don't we? And that's quite important to remember. Sometimes we know we haven't followed very well, and it's time to say sorry and try again a bit harder. So what about on that first day, on that first Palm Sunday, when everyone comes out to follow Jesus? Some were following, hoping for a new king, a new Messiah, like King David of 1,000 years ago, and they were going, oh, I hope this is regime change. Others were just following, it was a nice day and there seemed to be a goodwill about the procession. The children were loving it. The children were singing these old nursery songs, Hosanna to the Son of David, Hosanna to the King of Kings, while the scribes and the Pharisees and teachers of the law tried to tell them to shut up. It was a great day for everybody, and the children could even scamper up trees and pull off branches. We wouldn't allow that nowadays. And there are two groups in this story. There are the group who've come with Jesus, who've travelled around the country, whom he's picked up, and they hear and they know that they're coming into Jerusalem with Jesus. And actually, some of these people are just on their way for the Passover. So suddenly they're swept up in this amazing procession in. And then there's a group who's in Jerusalem already. Maybe they don't know so much about Jesus. Maybe they're just curious to find out, who is this person that so much has been said about and that the Pharisees are so worried about? And Jesus' entry is laying down the gauntlet. He is fulfilling the prophecy of Joel that he's coming in riding on a donkey. See, your king comes to you, your Messiah comes to you, riding on a donkey. This is no ambiguous claim. This is no humble claim. This is a claim to be the King of Jerusalem, and see how people react to that. And these same crowds who shout Hosanna, who are screaming and cheering, will be in a week the one who are screaming crucify. And that is the trouble with this story, isn't it? We know how it ends. I'm afraid that I'm old enough to remember Star Wars and to be really shocked when we found out who Luke's father was. You know, now we all know. But then it was a moment of great surprise, a great plot twist. Trouble with Easter week is we know that Jesus will go down into the darkness of Maundy Thursday and betrayal and Good Friday and crucifixion. And we also know that he and the disciples will come out the other side in the glorious resurrection of Easter Day. But the people who followed him did not know how it was going to end. They were hoping for this or hoping for that, but they did not know what would happen. None of his early followers or even his enemies. And right now, in our community and in the world, no one is sure what's going to happen next. We hope for more testing, we hope for a vaccine, we hope that no one we love will die, we hope for a new economy, we hope for a more environmentally friendly world. But we don't know, do we? No one is sure. I think we can be certain that things may well get harder before they get easier, before they get better, that we are on a journey like the disciples, really, into times of fear and testing before we come to the other side. And the one thing that our faith tells us that we must cling to is that there will be resurrection at the end. But to find that resurrection, we will have to follow, we will have to go where he goes. Jesus knows the beginning from the end. He is the Alpha and the Omega. And we have been told that all things hold together in him. Let us look unto Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith. And since we are surrounded by such great a cloud of witnesses, let us throw off the sin that entangles and the things we get caught up and run with perseverance the race that is set before us. Because if you remember Joseph, you know him of the Technicolor Dreamcoat, here's a story, a biblical story of epic proportions. And he went through being sold as a slave, being wrongfully imprisoned. And he comes out at the end, and after he's forgiven his brothers, he says, "You meant this for bad, but God meant it for good." For such a time as this, we have been called and chosen as Jesus' followers on earth in Alderholt. Whatever was meant for us, God means it for good. Let us bear witness and love our neighbours and be faithful followers.